Hello students, let us start our discussion about electricity. वैसे आप जानते हैं इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की शुरुआत कहाँ से हुई, ये चार्जेस का फ्लो कहाँ से आया, चार्जेस का कॉन्सेप्ट किसने दिया। तो अगर हम इन सारी बातों की गहराई में जाएं तो हमको एक बात समझ में आती है कि देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ चार्ज प्रेजेंट इन द नेचर. One is known as positive charge and other one is known as negative charge. Positive charge and negative charge, both type of particles that contains positive and negative charge have a similar amount of charge, but the nature of the particles are opposite. So for example, you well know about the proton, electron and neutron, that is the constituent particle of the atom. So if we talk about what is the structure of atom, then you find that the proton and neutron are present in the nucleus and electron revolves around the nucleus. Size of the nucleus is very small in comparison to the size of the atom. And you know that the size of the nucleus is very small in comparison to size of the atom. The size of the nucleus is so small, this is nearly 10,000 to 1 lakhs times smaller than that of the size of the atom. And the protons, that is the positively charged particles, and neutrons, both are present in the nucleus, while electron, that is negatively charged particle, always revolves around the nucleus. Okay, so if we talk about the charge present on any object, then flow of charges, then first we talk about the nature of charges. There are two types of charge, one is negative, other is positive. Negative charge contains by the particle, that is known as electrons, and electron has negative amount of charge whose value is minus of 1.6 into 10 to power minus 19 coulomb. This is the amount of electric charge present on one electron. Similarly, the charge present on one proton is equal to plus of 1.6 10 to power minus 19 coulomb. The nature of the charge present on one proton is positive and the nature of the charge present on one electron is negative, but the amount of both proton and electron contains same amount of charge, that is 1.6 into 10 to power minus 19 coulomb. Okay, so this is a basic concept, and the nature of two types of charges was given by Benjamin Franklin. Now, as we know that if we rub two objects with each other, then one can get positively charged, then other gets negatively charged. So if we want to take some charge on any object, then there is no process, no any other process to make charge on any object. It means the total charge in the universe is always conserved. It means there is no charge can be produced in the laboratory, no any charge can be destroyed in the laboratory or anywhere. It means charge only can be produced by a simple process, that is a transformation of the charge. It means if when we rub two objects, then the negative charge transfers from one object to the other object, then where the negative charge collects, that type of object becomes negatively charged, and where the negatively charged lose out, that type of object becomes positively charged. Suppose that, for example, if we rub the glass with cat fur, then what will happen? If we rub the cat fur, then the glass becomes negatively charged and cat fur becomes positively charged. Okay, so this is a simple concept of transforming of charge and developing a charge. And also in conductors there are different charge, that is known as free electrons, which is floating throughout the conductors as freely. So if we want to develop the charge on any conductor, then we can use a simple phenomena that is known as induction. It means if we take any spherical ball, suppose that this is a spherical ball, this is made with the help of the conductor, and this one is the second conductor spherical ball, this is also made with the help of the conductor. Then if initially we connect all these two balls, then what will happen if they are connected each other initially? Then if we place any charged substance nearby these balls like this, suppose that this is a charged object and this one is the positively charged, suppose that, for example, then we know that in conductors there are free charge carriers, that is known as electrons. So all the electrons which is free to move throughout the conductors, they attracts towards this positive charge. It means all the negative charge present in this conductor also in this conductor, because they are connected to each other, so all the negative charge will tends to align to this side of the spherical ball, and all the remaining positive charge inside in this conductor and also this conductor, because from where electrons leaves, this type of atoms becomes positively charged. So here is a positively charged collection occurs. Okay, so if we disconnect this at this state, suppose that if we separate this, then what will happen? If we separate this, then there is a negative charge and there is a positive charge at here, and as we separate all these two spherical balls, then what will happen? Positive charge on this spherical ball as here, and there is a negative charge on this spherical ball. Similarly, if we remove this positively charged materials from here, then we can find out, if we remove this, okay, then this negative charge can spread throughout the ball, and this negative charge can be pulled by this positive charge. So these all negative charge can be pulled towards this side and all the positive charge can pull towards this side. But when we make a larger distance between these two balls, it means they are separated by a large distance, then what will happen? We can see that this negatively charged can spread throughout the spherical ball. Okay, so this becomes a negatively charged conductor and this becomes a positively charged conductor. So we can say that without providing some external charge, such type of balls becomes charged. So the phenomena by which we provide the negative charge at this ball and positive charge at this ball, this phenomena is known as charging by induction. So this is a simple method by which we can provide some charge on the materials, conducting materials. So now let us talk more about when charges flows, then what will happen. As you know that the unit of the charge is coulomb, and if we found that there is a flow of charges, then there is a rate of flow of charge. It means we can find a current through any conductor. So what is the current? Electric current can be defined as the rate of flow of charges. Okay, so suppose that we have any conductor and q amount of charge can flow through its cross sectional area in time t, then the current flowing through that conductor can be represented by I, that will be equal to q by t. So I is equal to q by t. The unit of the current is coulomb per second, that is also known as ampere. The unit of current is coulomb per second. This is also known as ampere. So what is the amount of 1 ampere? That can be defined in two different ways. Now in this term, if in 1 second there is a flotation of 1 coulomb of charge founding through any conductor, then we can say that the current flowing through any conductor is 1 ampere. So and 1 ampere is that current which can be maintained through any conductor when there is a 1 coulomb of charge flowing through any conductor in 1 second. Okay, so let us talk more about electric potential. What is the electric potential? As we know that we want to bring any unit positive charge from infinite to any point in the electric field, then we have to do some work, and we well know the ratio of the amount of work to bring that charge from infinite to that point where we want to calculate the electric potential to the amount of that charge which we want to bring from infinite to that point is known as the electric potential at that point. So electric potential can be defined by a simple concept that suppose that we want to bring a single positive charge plus q naught from infinite to any point. So what will be the amount of work done? If W is the amount of work done to bring a positive q naught charge, suppose that, to any point phi in an electric field, suppose that there is an electric field and this point has an electric field E, then if any charge which is initially placed at infinity and we want to bring this charge from infinite to this point, then we have to do some work, and the amount of this work will be equal to the amount of this work divided by the amount of charge which is bringing from infinite to this point is known as the electric potential of this point. So electric potential, this is a very simple concept, and this is the ratio of the work done divided by the charge. So from here we can easily know that the unit of the electric potential, the unit of electric potential will be equal to joule per coulomb, because electric potential can be defined by a simple relation V equal to W by Q naught. Unit of electric potential, so electric potential V can be defined as the amount of work done to bring any unit positive charge from infinite to that point. Okay, so if q naught charge can be bring from infinite to any point in the electric field, then amount of work done is W. So electric potential can be defined as W by Q naught. So unit of V, that is electric potential, is equal to joule per coulomb. Joule per coulomb. Joule per coulomb. Here joule is the unit of work and coulomb is the unit of charge. And unit of electric potential is volt also. Unit of electric potential, unit of electric potential is volt. It means 1 volt is equal to 1 joule per coulomb. Okay, so 1 joule equal to 1 joule per coulomb equal to 1 volt. This is a simple relation between the unit of electric potential, that is volt, and joule per coulomb. Now we can define potential difference. Suppose that if we want to bring any charge from any point to another point in an electric field, then we have to do some work to displaces that charge from one point to other point. So the amount of the work displacing that charge from one point to another point divided by the amount of charge is known as potential difference. So suppose that these are the 2 points and we want to calculate the potential difference between these 2 points, and we find out that the potential difference is delta V. Then suppose that if here is a charge of q naught coulomb and we want to bring this charge from this point to this point A to point B, then what will be happen? We have to do some work to bring that charge from this point so this point. So suppose that we have to do work W amount. So delta V, that is potential difference, can be defined as the ratio of the amount of work to the charge. Okay, this is a simple concept of potential difference. Unit of potential difference is also volt or joule per coulomb. Now if we assume that all the physical criteria for any conductor is constant, that is temperature, pressure, etc., then the current flowing through any conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across its end, and this law is known as Ohm's law. So according to Ohm's law, the electric current flowing through any conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across its end. So we can derive an expression, or it can be expressed mathematically like this. Suppose that there is a conductor, and if we apply some potential across its end with the help of a battery of V volt, then there is a potential difference of V volt. And if we connect a meter to measure the current through this wire at here, then if we find that the current flowing through this wire is I ampere, then there is a relation between I and V that can be given by the law that is known as Ohm's law. So Ohm find out that V is directly proportional to I with the help of different experiments. So let us describe more about Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law? Ohm's law. Ohm's law. Ohm's law is stated as at constant temperature, the current flowing through any conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across its end. Suppose that there is a conductor of length L, and if we connect any battery through its conductor with the help of connecting wires like this, as we know that this is the positive terminal, this one is the negative terminal, whose length is larger in comparison to other one, that can be taken as the positive terminal, and this one is taken as the negative terminal for the battery. So if we take the potential of this battery is V, then what amount of the potential difference across its end can be measured with the help of a voltmeter that can be connected parallelly to the conductor. And if we want to measure the current flowing through the conductor, then we can connect an ammeter through this current loop, that is connection from battery to the conductor. If you connect a ammeter in the path of the current loop, then we can easily measure what amount of the current flowing at an instant of time. So according to Ohm, George Simon Ohm, when we increases the current flowing through the wire with the help of a particular device that is known as rheostat, current controlling device. This is a simple device. This one is the variable resistance. Okay, so if we change the position of this pointer on this device, then we can find out that there is a change in the potential across the conductor. Also there is a corresponding change in the current. So George Simon Ohms observed that when there is a change in the potential across the conductor, then there is a corresponding change in the current, and he observed its value, that is potential and the current through the conductor, by a particular table, and they found that the current flowing through any conductor is directly proportional to the voltage. It means he found that V proportional to I. If we remove this proportionality sign, then we get a particular symbol, that is a constant, proportionality constant, that is known as R. Okay, so V equal to Ri. Here R is a proportionality constant, and this R is known as proportionality constant, also known as resistance of this conductor. This R is termed as resistance of conductor. Okay, so what is the unit of resistance and what is the dependency of the resistance? This will be discussed in our next lecture. Till now, take care. Thank you.